Hello, everyone. Welcome to Rewatch Talk Live, and we are starting our Sundays of Scares right now on October 1st. And first up, on a stormy night on November 21st, 1931, audiences were frightened by the exploits of the Frankenstein monster. Thus, a new cottage industry was born, the Universal Monster movies. Frankenstein may have been the first movie franchise. This movie was directed by James Wales. Actors were Colin Clive as Henry, Frankenstein, May Clark as Elizabeth, John Bowles as Victor, and Boris Karloff as the monster. So, and so, go. I guess you don't have an opening, do you?
Nope, I am Jay Spooky today.
Oh wow! Let's see what happened. Where's everything? Well, okay. Oh, here we go. So, anyways, this is Frankenstein. And now, after this, I mean, think about it. I mean, I don't know if you can think about it, but after this, I mean, there was the Bride of Frankenstein, the Son of Frankenstein, and a few others. So, and of course, Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein and all that good stuff. So it looks like it might have been the first franchise. Way back in 1931, 1940s. So I mean, it wasn't like the franchise thing is brand new, starting back in the 80s or 70s, where things were always being a sequel.
Right.
So I mean, and it's a classic. It's one of those films that well, I didn't see it in the theater. I'm not that old. But I mean, the original run. And this film, it was the top grossing film of 1931. And, well, in second place was this movie. Well, I'll have to show it to you. It's really weird. I mean, it must have been a weird time for movies, because I mean, look at this movie, Jay. That was the second place movie.
Really?
Talk about your exploitation posters there. That gorilla, I don't know what's going on.
Oh my God, what is going on?
But that was the second place movie, even though it was like, I think it grossed. So, and so Frankenstein, since it was a top grossing film, Frankenstein is not a cult. It's a hit. I mean, it's interesting that and Boris Karloff pulled this off quite well. So the movie starts out with Victor Frankenstein. Not Victor. Victor is the one from the books. But his best friend's named Victor.
Oh wow!
Okay. Frankenstein here is called Henry, and let's see if I can. So let's see. We can get here. Where is it at? I got that picture. Oh, here it is. So here they are, the Robin Graves.
There you go.
There's Henry Frankenstein, and don't call me Igor, Fritz. I mean, he people start calling him Igor. I think that first appeared in Dracula.
Oh.
Or another movie, but actually in the first two films, his name was Fritz. And there's Henry Frankenstein grabbing a coffin. It's just precious. This is my precious.
Good voiceover.
Yep. So he's looking for bodies. He's building a monster, or building a person. He wants to create life. He is obsessed with it, to the point where he's, probably crazy or very, very obsessed, and probably needs to be and he has a doctor of Menor, Dr. Woodham, and this guy, they talk about it, but Victor. So they got the body, and then they were on the way they left. They found that another criminal had been hung, but the neck was broken, so they couldn't use the brain. So what they do? Well, it's up to Igor now. I mean Fritz made the mistake. It's up to Fritz to go get a brain because he knows that the Doctor Woodham has brains, and he wants to break in and get that, and it is so. Let's see what we got here. This is it's gonna you know
Uh-huh.
and so uh where is that one at? So I don't know what you remember of it, but I mean you know the brain there. I mean, every time I see that abnormal brain, that just reminds me of Young Frankenstein when Igor, because he remember Frankenstein, and then he's well, call me Igor, and then he said, "What brain did you get?" I got Abby normal. So I mean, that's what I remember from Young Frankenstein. It always reminds me. I don't know if you've seen Young Frankenstein, but you should. It's recommended. It's a comedy. You might laugh. So, I mean, did you see Frankenstein when like at home and all that stuff?
I saw it. I mean, I saw parts of it. I didn't see the whole movie, but I mean, there's of course lines in there in the movie, which is very popular, but um, not not everything, to be honest with you.
Okay. Oh, I get yeah, but back in the late 50s, there was the release of a catalog with a bunch of horror films that stations could, rent or lease or get licensing. And
Uh huh.
so what they did was they started hiring horror hosts, to show these films late at night or maybe sometimes during the day. So that's when that started. And that lasts, well, I guess it kind of goes on today, but not on major television anymore, unless you want to go to MeTV and count Swingoli. But other than that, I mean, but almost every major city, well, yeah, every major city. I mean, you're probably a big fan of Elvira.
Yes.
And I
Yep.
know why. That long hair. And
Long hair, exactly. Long black.
um, so, and there were another one. I mean, I think one of the first ones in LA was, what was there? The Mistress of the Dark in the late 50s, 60s, maybe,
Mhm.
before Elvira, but they probably had to been a bunch of them in Los Angeles since that was a big city.
Yeah.
And
Tales from the Crypt.
I mean, did you watch that kind, films with the hosts?
I did. I did. There was a lot of them. I mean, one famous one, of course, when I remember was the Blob. That was a really big one when I saw the host talking about the Blob. That was really hilarious as far as watching and everything. But that's one of the ones I've seen. I remember when I was little when there was a host talking about the movies was the Blob.
Okay, all right. I mean, for me,
Uh huh.
this was a staple. Gosh, I started watching this really young. I mean, there was the main one was on Friday nights with a couple guys called Houlihan and Big Jug, and then on Saturday night was the Ghoul, and Saturday during the day was Super Host. He was more of a child's. host. I mean, he he pandered to them, showed cartoons, Three Stooges, and then showed, basic fare. That's interesting, you know. But but almost every city back then had some kind of host on one of the stations.
Yes.
So that was nothing new. So he got the brain, and so he's trying to get this thing done, and then he's in the lab, working late one night, and Dr. Woodham and Victor shows up, and it's not, I don't think she's his fiance yet, but Elizabeth, they're in the lab, and he's talking, I'm going to do this. I'm going to I'm going to create life. I can do it. And, Dr. Woodham is like, how are you going to do this? And he talks about, you know, it's, it's crazy. So he starts, uh, so here we go. Here's basically what happens.
There you go.
He's got the monster on the table. As you know, it goes up, and then it gets to the top and gets shocked by lightning. So lightning, of course. See, back then, lightning, you get hit, creates life.
Mm-hmm.
And so here it is. The hand's starting to move. It's alive. It moves some more. And then he's like, "It's alive! It's alive!" And that was like, that's one of the big quotes from that movie.
Big quotes, yes.
That's
Huge.
it was huge.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the monster has an abnormal brain, so he's mostly, a psychopath. And so they're trying to tame him, and they can't, that they have him chained up and they can't tame him, Jay.
Right. No, they couldn't.
So,
They tried their best efforts to try to tame him and just couldn't. I mean, he was just too strong.
yep. So, I don't know what the dude was doing, but, here's Fritz. He's tormenting the monster with fire.
Ah.
And what happens when you play with fire, Jay?
Oh, you get burned.
Oh, he did. Yeah, the monster. Remember the monster that first he was afraid of fire.
Mm.
So that's why he could torment him because he's afraid of fire. But we don't see him actually get killed, but we hear him get scream. We hear the screams, and Henry and the other doctor run up to find him, and you don't see a body or anything, but you get the idea of what happened.
Right. Right.
So, and this leads, Doctor Wordham wants, he wants to kill the monster. You can't have this thing running around. We got to get rid of it. And here's Doctor Doctor Frank. Well, that's murder. He's already dead. So is it murder?
Right.
If the creature's already, I know he's reanimated, but is it murder? And it's interesting concept there.
It is.
So I don't know. It's a strange thing, in the meantime, he's trying. Elizabeth thinking, he's worried. They're worried about him. He's working in his lab all the time. He doesn't seem strange, and so they're trying to do these interventions where look, you need to get away. Like, no, I got this experiment. I can't get away. And his father's kind of a doofus, not a doofus, but he doesn't understand what's going on. So he just thinks Henry's, and so so the Dr. Woodham goes to kill, goes to kill the monster, right?
Right. Right.
Things go wrong. First rule of working on a psychopath: tie him down and keep an eye on him for when he wakes up. So, look, he's not even paying attention. And you can see in the first picture, the arm's moving up and then he
Mm-hmm.
chokes him. So that's when Frankenstein, the monster, escapes. He escapes. Now, Henry gets a big run in with the monster. It traumatizes him a little bit. And Henry and Elizabeth announced somewhat of an engagement. And this is a big, hollyboo in the town because, he's the Baron. His dad is the Baron.
Mm-hmm.
So, he has this big thing on the balcony. Things are, then so the town is pretty happy. So they're partying. Okay, they're all dancing around to this great news that, oh my gosh,
Oh.
he's going to get married.
Mm.
So the whole village is in on it. So, and one of the most probably shocking, going back to when you're tired there, Jake. So, well, here's the thing: is when Victor, when I keep going back to the novel, when Henry says, increase life, I'm God, I'm God. I mean, there were some Bible Belt states that wanted that line taken out because it was blasphemous. They thought.
Oh wow. Huh.
I mean, that
I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't
Oh
know that.
yeah, well, that's the Bible Belt, and I think it was a few states there, like Missouri and a few others, and so this film was met with controversy, even though today it seems very very tame. And it's a quick watch. I mean, it's not very long.
No, no, not at all. Like
And
hour and 5 minutes or something like that.
not even, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But it's a quick watch, but there's a lot packed into it.
Uh-huh.
And of course, I mean, I'm not going to compare this to the novel. They're two, as usual, the movie is nothing like the
The now.
book. So the novel is a lot better. I mean, it always that. It seems like it's all it always is. What else is new?
Yeah,
So
that's
even
what I was
way,
going to ask you. Which one do you prefer?
so I
The
mean,
book
so
or the
even
novel or
so,
the
so
movie?
even way back 90 years ago, they were screwing things. Well, I didn't screw it up. It was a good movie because if you didn't read the book and you watched it like I did at a young age, like, oh, this is great. No, you had nothing to compare it to.
Right, right.
And you're asking me about the book.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
I've read the book, and well, since then there has been true adaptations made with the book, Mary Shelley's book, that she wrote in 1816 when they were in Germany and they were writing. They were just going to write things for the heck of it.
oh,
And this book was uh, based on a dream she had about the creation of life and stuff. So she started writing this book, and she was hanging out with her. I don't know. I think her husband to be, and Lord Byron. And they were in Germany, and this was before all the wars and all that, all kinds of crap.
right,
So I
right.
mean, it wasn't. So so the book came out in 1818, and then they republished it in 1831 with some added stuff to it and stuff like that. But the 1818 version is better because it's the pure novel
Mm.
that you get. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen another Frankenstein movie, but that's when he ends up. Dr. Frankenstein ends up at the North Pole because the monster is chasing him around. The monster, because the monster, unlike the one in the movie, is not exactly stupid. He actually starts getting some intelligence. And there are future movies where they play on this, where the monster, he comes back, but he starts picking up language and stuff like that, and all he wants, of course, as usual, it's like that. Well, I want my father to love me, and then that whole thing. And then he's free. And this has to be one of the most disturbing parts of the movie here. Frankenstein meets this little girl, Maria.
Uh-huh.
And Maria, now the thing is, her father left. Her father was telling her, just go, play with your cat or whatever. And this was before, don't talk to strangers. Because, Frankenstein, I mean, the thing is, she wasn't scared of the monster, even though look how it looks, she wasn't scared.
Terrified. Yeah.
She said, "You want to play with me?" And she hands him a flower, and he kind of smiles. And they start throwing flowers into the water. She said, I can make my flowers float. So they're both throwing them in because he has a handful, but he runs out, and he's like, ooh. So what he does is he grabs a girl and throws her in the lake. And, she drowns.
Right.
And I don't know how long it was, but, even that, so that scene was censored too, because back then that would have been it. So, and here's the father, carrying his daughter into the village.
Mm.
So all the partying has to stop because, this is a tragedy. And, poor Maria, she just wanted someone to play with.
That was it.
That was all she wanted.
All she wanted.
So here's the Burgermeister. He wants them to, he's rallying the village to go with him. And this is where the pitchforks and stuff comes from when you see that. Well, they're coming with pitchforks.
Right.
So he's giving him a fist pump. Probably not back then, but he held out his arm. So here comes the villagers. See, they're on the march. They are on the march.
On the march. They're fires.
Frankenstein breaks into the house and he's coming after Elizabeth. He comes in the window. She's getting ready, putting makeup on and all this stuff. And, so he's in there. And she notices that he's here. Now, she screams.
That's the screamer.
But look at Frankenstein's little smirk there.
Yeah, he got a little smirk on his face.
He's like, hey, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't be afraid of me.
Yeah.
It's just little me, I'm not afraid.
There's no Frankenstein. Nothing, no harm.
Yeah. Don't mind these bolts in my neck and the scar,
Yeah, the scar and the hair.
Women like scars, right? You got a bunch of them. So
she screams.
Up. I mean, she goes through this traumatic thing because she's breaking up the house and they find her passed out in her room or somewhere in the house, and so she's traumatized. And then so now people they know about the monster. No one's happy. Here we come. They're coming for him now.
Yep.
They got the dogs.
Got the dogs. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Got the dogs waiting to come and get him.
They are. They're coming to get him. Coming to take him away, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
And Henry and Frankenstein, they do meet up in the mountains. And, they have this big battle. No, it's not a big battle, but Frankenstein grabs him and takes him to the windmill. Well, there's the battle.
Uh-huh.
So he comes. Look how when he walks out of there, up from the rocks. Look how mean he look. Look at that look.
Yeah, that's a look right there.
So Boris is playing this very well.
Yep. Don't mess with me.
Yeah, that's Boris, and he's going to go on to be one of the biggest draws in horror and other films. So they find him and they make it their way to the windmill and they all burn it down.
Fire.
Yep. The thing is, they're on top of the windmill, and he throws Henry off of the top of it. He lands on the windmill and kind of flips around until he falls off. You know, I think it was the new ride at Disney. So, so he starts going around and he falls off, and they're all taking care of him, and he goes back. Earlier, there's a reception for the engagement back at the Baron's house. And what caught me was, they're having his grandmother's wine.
Mm.
And this is great wine. We like it. And he takes the butler aside and goes, "Give the help champagne. This would be wasted on them." So
Wow.
it's like, okay. It's like, yeah, I guess. So now so they get the champagne and they're all drinking this wine. And then all of this is traumatic. So Henry's in the bed, getting his rest. And the servants come back again, and the Baron meets him at the door, and they're like, "Oh, what's going on? Oh, we thought we'd give him some of his grandmother's wine." So you can see, you can see out the doorway, but you can still look in, and you see Elizabeth at the bedside. So the Baron shuts the door and goes, "I don't think Henry wants this. Henry doesn't need this right now." So he starts drinking it. So, he is that how it ends? I can't remember how it ends, but it's so that's that. So anyway, the monster dies in the fire, and we never see him again until the
Wow.
next movie, which is The Bride of Frankenstein.
Right.
So I'm trying to. I was trying to figure out how long these years last, because it comes out in November 21st. But if it ends in 1932, I mean, in 6 weeks this movie does, like about, $100,000 in sales, or sells a lot of tickets. I mean, there's a big gap between number 2 with the gorilla copping a feel and Frankenstein. So I mean, that was one of the big hits, like I said, but it just wasn't. I don't know how that works. You know what I mean? I mean, it seems like that's, and plus we're talking, right there in the middle of not the beginning, not the beginning of the Depression too. I mean, this is, people don't have a lot of disposable income, so it's
Yeah,
a pretty
definitely.
weird period. So, so
Wow.
it's, so the whole time there, I don't know, they were worried about Henry, but Henry was too psychotic. He was obsessed with getting this new life started. So I believe, like I said, this is a good movie. I mean,
Yes.
especially if you're watching it when you were younger, and it's like one of your first experiences for, horror films. So that was The Fair.
Yes. But did they ever remake this in color?
Oh my gosh, this thing's been remade over and over again.
Oh.
I mean, Hammer Films remade it too, where
Ah.
Christopher Reeve played the monster
Okay.
and Peter
Superman.
Cushing was the doctor. So
Okay.
Hammer got in on the act. And there was a movie with Sting, which is pretty decent.
Uh-huh.
And there was a series on HBO called Penny Dreadful.
Yes, I heard of that on
And
HBO.
it incorporated almost all of the mythos. And the actor that played that Frankenstein was awesome,
Mm.
because this Frankenstein was very well read and intelligent. I mean, he wasn't good looking
No.
in a way, but
No
still,
way.
he wasn't, he wasn't some kind of stupid blundering thing. He was working, and he had a very articulate, and it was like I said, a lot of creatures were in this film, and it had Timothy Dalton,
Hmm.
and so it had a pretty good cast, and it was pretty well acted out. So I forget how many. I think it lasted 3 seasons on HBO, and so that was what am I looking for here? Let me see if I can. Can you see that? That's the cast.
No, I don't see it. I just right now I see the
Is
fire.
it too small? Where did it go? I said share screen. Stupid people. Oh, I know why it won't do that. I gotta hide the.
There you go.
I have to hide it so you can see it. So I'll see if we
Okay.
can get back to it. That way you can get an idea of what these actors look like.
Okay.
So
Well,
and I don't know how close we could get on this. But there's Colin Clive. He played Henry Frankenstein. There's May Clark. She played Elizabeth. And so there's John Bowles. He played Victor Moritz, and he was his best friend and confidant with Elizabeth. And of course, Boris Karloff as the monster.
mm-hmm.
And there's Dr. Waldman. And he was old school. Didn't believe into it. There's Freddie Kerr. He was the father Baron Frankenstein.
Oh wow. Huh.
And there's Fritz, not Igor, the hunchback that was helping him out. And there's the burgomaster, Lionel Belmore. And of course, well, that's kind of Maria growing up, but still, she was a little girl. So
Wow. Really big cast of folks that played the roles.
that wasn't a huge cast. I mean, there were a lot of extras with the help.
Mm.
And I guess, getting the villagers to line up and be in sync when they were dancing, that probably took a while getting them to dance in the streets and march into the wilderness to find the monster. And this is, I mean, the movie is very, very condensed compared to the book. So, but if I didn't have a lot of time, and who knows how big that budget was, and they said, well, "Look, we'll just make it and we'll put it out there." So, and it worked out. So,
Yes,
so the monster, and Victor, I keep calling him Victor from the book. But Henry, they battle out a little bit in the windmill, and it catches fire, and they catch the fire, and we see the monster. But as far as we see the monster burning up. Cause he's trapped down there, and there's fire coming down, and he's like, "Ooh!" Well, you don't know how he is, but it's like,
yeah.
So, and so actually, most people agree that the sequel, Bride of Frankenstein, is better than the first one.
Huh, really?
Which is very surprising. But then I guess maybe back then they were, I guess they didn't hear about the sequel curse back then. Like, screw that. We're going to make this. And then another one, The Son of Frankenstein. That wasn't too bad either. That had Rathel, the guy that played Sherlock Holmes, and a few other people. And then I think there were 4 in total. And then once they were starting to make parodies of the movies, like with Abbott and Costello meets everybody, Frankenstein, Wolfman. Don't get me wrong, they were funny, but after a while, it's like, okay, come on, because they were making, you had Dracula coming out, the Mummy coming out. I think you mentioned those names, didn't you?
Uh-huh. Yes.
So it was,
Mm-hmm.
and this was early on. in Hollywood. So, and the sets weren't too bad. I mean, the castle and stuff like that, they were pretty decent. I mean, as you know, they're not blue screen.
No.
this,
So
this,
what's
this is,
that?
yeah, this is all practical, right? I got
Right.
My Hellfire Club from
Yeah, I saw
Stranger
that.
Things.
With
Yeah,
Stranger Things. Yes.
yeah. So anyway, back then I still enjoy watching it every once in a while because it's a nice little flick and it's quick. I mean, you don't got to spend the whole time watching it. And it's pretty well written and it
Hmm.
moves along at a pretty good pace. So it's too bad you didn't get a chance to watch it. That would have been cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I understand. We've only been promoting it for a month, so I can see how you know you probably didn't have time within 30 days to hunt it down.
Yeah.
But that's
But
surprising because Walmart usually has that. When Halloween starts coming up, they have those $5 things on the end cap.
exactly. I was very surprised, and I guess the one I went to just said they're getting ready to do it, but I'm thinking they should have already done it. I mean, we're already in October 1st, so
Oh my
but
gosh, the Walmart here near me, they were
already prepped.
August.
Yeah. See.
We're talking August. That's like holy,
Right.
they weren't wasting any time.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So I mean, so
A
that's too
little
bad.
different. Yeah, a little different over here.
Well, I guess because, well, I don't know. I mean, I could see 2 weeks beforehand, like in the middle of September, but my gosh, the middle of August.
Like, exactly. It got me. It got me surprised.
Because usually these are since they're $5, $5 or $7, they're probably usually impulse purchases.
Right.
You walk by, oh yeah, I remember Halloween, or I remember for you just put them in your cart because they're not expensive.
Right.
Huh, that's an interesting. I didn't know that. I thought all stores were into trying to very very as early as they can because it seems like every year it gets earlier and earlier. About putting out their Halloween stuff
Yes.
because as soon as August hit,
You know it's coming.
they have the aisles and they put out the Halloween stuff, and then besides the Halloween stuff, well, then they start putting out the back to school stuff. So I mean, it's like one big shindig going on for all the stuff that's going on.
Exactly.
So that was a quick recap, and I suggest anyone that hasn't seen it to watch it. I think you would enjoy it, and I'm sure you can find a very cheap copy at your nearest Walmart. I mean, it has to be. It's October now; it should be there, and you probably
Should
should
be
get
there.
there. Should get there
Yeah.
before it even sells out at the low price that it is.
Right. Exactly.
And grab a few more because I mean they do have other ones, and even ones like that aren't that old. I mean, they have Dracula and stuff like that. I don't know. Do they have the Halloween movies at $5
I think so. I think so.
or $7? I don't know. The price could go up every year. I don't know. Back when I bought this copy, it was $5, so it was like a no-brainer. Well, actually, the double feature it had both Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein.
Mm.
So that was nice. So you mean so if you buy your candy in August, that means it'll be nice and stale by Halloween when you hand it out. So you might get a trick instead of a treat.
True. Exactly. Very good.
Woo! So that's all I have on that one.
All righty. All right.
And well, next week you're up.
Yes. Yes.
So what are you going to be doing there, Jay?
Going to go over just like you did this week. Go over the movie. And my movie is Smile, and we're gonna go and talk about some things about it. hopefully maybe get some folks maybe watching and actually have questions about the movie or kind of get their experience when they were watching it, so we can share and discuss. And if if they're watching later on our channel, um, kind of see discuss Frankenstein, ask questions, and also uh, ask about a smile also. So it'll be great to see. So we have some questions ready for next week.
And that one is streaming on Prime.
Correct. Yep.
So at least you don't got to worry about trying to find it at Walmart.
Yeah. This. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. It should be issue if you have that to watch it, and it's on DVD also, so you can go to your Walmart or Target somewhere like that to get a copy of it.
Yeah, and I we have to be very careful. That's why I have all these stills, because every time we try to show a clip, we get busted.
Exactly. Exactly. That's going to be kind of tricky.
I mean, it's
Um,
always
on
you then you have to write and try to explain to them what fair use is, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So I mean,
right. Right.
YouTube is really weird, and well, everybody knows that. So it depends.
Yeah.
Unless you've got all those subscribers, and then they're like, "Oh no, who cares?"
Yeah. Don't worry about us. Worry about the other folks. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, they should be trying to get us to that 1,000 subscriber part so they can start throwing
Right.
ads in there.
Exactly. That would be nice.
But no, they want to hinder us as much as they can, and it's not like we show a whole damn movie. We just show bits and pieces. That's weird.
That's all. Yep.
It's weird. But
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
yep, and maybe I'll have some more Frankenstein news too next week too. We can throw
Doesn't
that
hurt.
in. I have some stuff that I couldn't get to right away, but
Uh-huh.
you know, some things that we could go into, like how the movie was produced and all that stuff. And
Yeah. Yeah. We could we could definitely do that also.
so, but I mean, Smile, I'm looking for. I mean, I started it, but I have not finished it. And I'm looking, and that poster that I showed with that creepy as hell smile. I was like, oh my God, that
Yes.
alone is like, good,
Yeah.
and I'm
The
looking forward to
promotion.
finishing it.
Yeah, the promotion for that movie was perfect. I'll maybe discuss a little bit more of that next week, but yeah, the promotion and their build up to showing the movie was really it was smart. They did a smart job on how to advertise the movie.
Good, good, good. Well, if there's nothing else, Jay, we'll get out of here.
All righty.
I mean, I know this is not as long as you used to when we were doing Better Call Saul.
I know. It's a little different, but
Those
it's a movie.
episodes
It's a little
were
movie.
jam packed with all kinds of crap.
Yeah.
So, way it goes. Any last words, Jay?
Uh, Last words is just thank you for folks that's watching right live and also watching later on, and just thank you for coming out and listening to us talk about Frankenstein. It was fun.
Yeah. So, yep, an old standby. He's been around for, well, Mary Shelley did it in 1818, so it's been over 200 years for that. But the movie's almost, I guess, 91 next month. So,
Wow. Wow.
and even though it's that old, it's still not in public domain, and we can't just show it.
Right. Right.
And from what I understand, the Karloff estate still has rights to the Frankenstein image. So it's sometimes it's very hard to get stuff going. And I guess we could spend our time trying to find a bunch of fair use or public domain stuff, but
Right. Right.
we'll do what we're going to do, and then take our chances with YouTube.
Yeah. Exactly.
So anyway, before we go, people have been asking about your dog.
Everything's good. Everything's good.
So
Thank you
the
for
dog's
having.
healing up. What's the
Yes.
dog's name
Yep.
again? I keep hitting your dog's
No,
name.
no, it's good. Christmas.
Christmas? Oh, yeah, I guess yeah. It's hard to remember that name, Christmas. Who's ever heard of that?
I
Jesus.
know. Jeez.
Wow. Okay. That's a good name, Christmas. Did you? So that mean you got the dog at Christmas?
Yes. Or we found actually we found the dog on Christmas Day.
So it was out
He
on
was
the
a
street.
stray. Yeah.
Oh, stray. So you
Yep.
rescued that dog from the
Yep.
elements.
Yes. There. Yep. She was in the middle of the street over here in our house, or my parents' house,
Oh yeah.
raining cats and dogs, and we saw it out in the middle of the street, and we pretty much took it in.
Well, I don't think that dog would like raining cats, but well, I'm glad. I'm glad that you were able to rescue that dog and it didn't just, you know, stay unwanted and who knows out in the rain. Brought it
Exactly.
in. So were you still living at home then? Is this a childhood pet?
Yeah, I would say so. I was thinking how long it's been. We had Christmas for a very long time, so I would say it was when I was living here, and then when I went to college and everything like that. So it's been here for a long time. It's a very old dog, but has a young spirit. That's what we love about Christmas. She's a young, old soul, but young spirit.
Oh, that's good. I like that. I
Yeah,
like that a lot. I'm glad that you were able to get that dog off the street
me too.
before he
Me
got
too.
hit and
Exactly.
before one of those cats landed on it from falling all out of the sky and clawed.
Right.
So,
Mm.
raining cats and dogs. That's wow. But yeah, awesome. I mean, was the dog like a little puppy then, or was it like
It's always small, small. Never,
small dog?
never grown big or anything like that. It was a small doggy.
Okay, so like a little compact dog where you can hold it like a football and run around with
Exactly.
it.
Very small. Yep.
Wow, cool. All right, everybody.
All
Hey,
right.
thanks for watching. Like I said, next week we will continue our Sunday of Skiers and we will go into more detail with Smile because I'll be able to watch it and I'll be able to maybe fumble my way through it as well.
All
So,
right.
and maybe by then you can find yourself a copy of Frankenstein and you go, oh, yeah, now I know what you were talking about.
Right. Exactly. We'll
But
do.
anyway, you don't have to. I mean, I know it's because I didn't want you running around Southern California looking for a DVD. I don't think you wanted either. You just wanted to watch your movie. Oh, I guess by the way, what movie did you see?
I saw the or not last, but the most recent. I should say it like that. The most recent Saw 10.
Did you like it?
I enjoyed it very much. So it was a really good good movie. It's a little slow, but it was really good. I enjoyed it. As a starting off the I should say starting off the October month with the bang with this one, I would say thumbs up. I know there's a couple other movies coming out that's going to be coming out during October, but I enjoyed it a lot
So you feel that October is off to a strong start at the movie theater?
for this season or for this year. Yes,
Good,
I think
good.
so. Yep,
All right.
yep. A couple more coming out soon.
Yeah, well, maybe you should do a review on that.
I might have to, and maybe during the time when we do Saw with uh with Peter, we can maybe kind of tie in that also. So that'll be good.
From 1 to 10. Yeah, because why not? I mean,
Why
I
not?
think I've seen the first three, so I know what it's about. But I haven't seen the other ones because they keep going and going and going.
It does. It does. It
Oh, that's right. I
does.
bought I think I bought the 3-pack, the Saw 3-pack. It all came bundled up in three, so I have 1 through 3,
Oh, cool. That's
and
cool.
and the things that people have seen it, so the things you have to do to try to live or die.
Yeah.
Oh, just cut off your hand and you can go. What? It's kind of nutty. All right, people. That's it for this week. Next week, we'll be doing Smile with Jay.
Yes.
And I look forward to that because I haven't seen it, and I'm going to be ready to go on that one because this one should be pretty creepy. I would imagine that smile just freaks me out on that poster. It's like I
Yeah.
just can't get over it, man. I mean, I don't know. I can't just smile. I knocked out my mask on, but still.
Right.
All right, everybody. We'll catch you next Sunday at 6 o'clock Eastern, 3
Yes.
o'clock Pacific.